Hello, hello everyone, and welcome to our first session of the month. My name is Gobisa Domeko, the Festival Officer at Tiniest Africa, and I will facilitate tonight's session. This month, we are celebrating agriculture as it is the last month celebrating the 2020 UN Declaration Year of Plant Health. Now tonight we have our lovely mother, Dr. Gcina Mhlophe, with a storytelling session to unwind this day's happenings. Dr. Gcina Mhlophe is popularly known for her storytelling, but not only for being a seasoned author, poet, playwright, director, and performer. Dr. Gcina Mhlophe has taken her stories around the world, receiving many accolades and awards. She is the founder of Gcina Masiko Arts and Heritage Trust, which is aimed at promoting the culture of reading, providing writing and story creation opportunities, and promoting African writers and the heritage of storytelling within the education institutions, especially those who have poor access to resources. And in the public arena of South Africa, through its edutainment program. Please, everyone, do join us and Dr. Gcina Mhlophe as she tells the story from the tiniest seed to a huge baobab. To everyone that is joining on Zoom, please feel free to use the Q&A session to interact with us. And those that are live on Facebook, please use the comment section. Take us away, Mama.
Sanbonani, Sanbonani, Sanbonani. I'd like to start by sharing the words of a really wise man from Persia. If you listen to the cool breeze at dawn, you are sure to hear special messages that are meant just for you. If you wake up early in the morning and listen to the cool breeze at dawn, it will be speaking to you. But I beg you, don't go back to bed. Some people wake up, they go across the threshold. The door is round, it is open, but they go back to sleep. Don't go back to sleep. The cool breeze at dawn has got special messages meant for you. The orange eastern sky has got invisible threads that weave their way straight into all our hearts. All we have to do is take the time to listen to the cool breeze at dawn. Those are the words of Rumi. When I think of that cool breeze at dawn, I think of how we always had to wake up so early as children. We didn't like it one bit. I remember going to fetch water in the morning before the sun rose. I remember coming back home and making breakfast, making tea, and feeling we should be sleeping. I was feeling so lazy. But when I remember how we were brought up, I think we were sharpened, we were prepared for success. And when I honor that mother who made us wake up so early in the morning and listen to the cool breeze at dawn to start working, I honor her thus. Oh, mina lo, ngakhuliswa intombi, eyayingabu bekezela ubuvila. Oh, mina lo, ngakhuliswa intombi, eyayingabu bekezela ubuvila. Umama wami, intombi yakashezi, yayingabu bekezela ubuvila. Yathi intombi kayilale kuphuma ilanga, yathi intombi kayilale kuphuma ilanga, imojwayele ukuzenzela, ngiye kuwenqena, imojwayele ukuzenzela, ngiye kuwenqena, imojwayele ukuzenzela, ngiye kuwenqena. Ngibajwayele ukuzenzela, ngiye kuwenqena, ngibajwayele ukuzenzela, ngiye kuwenqena. Basho mama kimi, basho mama kimi, basho mama kimi, basho mama kimi, ngibajwayele ukuzenzela, ngiye kuwenqena, That woman who brought us up prepared us to learn, to know that hard work is what builds you. Hard work prepares you for the most amazing times in your future. You will go through hard times and everything, but when you are prepared for hard work, you will go through those hard times. You will cry when you need to cry, but you will work hard. That needs to be your middle name. Yes, you know, I'm the teller of tales. I'm the weaver of dreams. Here in this land of our forefathers, in this land of our ancestors, we must walk with a sense of dignity and remember the ancient wisdoms. When you remember those ancient wisdoms in this land that is kissed by two oceans on either side, the Indian Ocean and the Atlantic Ocean, we are the people who are most diverse, and hard work has taken us through difficult times. And in these years, when we say we are a free society, we talk about land. We talk about doing something and owning the land of our forefathers again. When it was taken away, we know this. But let me go back in time. Let's touch the past with our memories. Feel the future flying on the wings of imagination. Let's touch the past and feel the future. A very, very long time ago, in a village called Empopomeni. In that village, there was a chief. His name was Chief Sipamandla. What a beautiful name. Sipamandla, simply meaning give us strength. Chief Sipamandla was not the oldest man in the village, but he was the most dignified and respected even by the elders. People respected him even in neighboring villages all around. And he always encouraged his people to take care of the land, to plant seeds and make sure that the seeds are in the right place. And when they needed to change and rotate the plants that they'd grown in that place, and whether it was millet, whether it was beans or pumpkins, they had to take care of the land and know this is the plant that needs more watering. This doesn't need watering past a certain stage. And to make sure, you know, that bird that goes, Pesgomkono. That bird reminds people to take their hoes, put them on their shoulders, and to go hoeing in the fields, removing the weeds. You don't want the weeds to suffocate your plants because you're expecting beautiful, rich harvest when it is harvest time. People continued working and they had made beautiful, tasty imbila. Yes, they had made this drink that was creamy from the millet. They would grind the millet until it was so smooth, almost like flour. They made this drink and they would take that with them at dawn when they went to start working in the fields. And then when they came back, it was time to make breakfast and relax and prepare for other activities at home. Once the plants grew big enough and tall enough, they had to take care of their homes. Chief Sipamandla encouraged people to make sure that every home had a solid foundation and that the walls were plastered regularly and taken care of so that they last them long. And there's something people had, it was called Ilim, the work teams. They used those Ilim in the fields when they were working. They used those teams when they were repairing their homes. Always they were making sure that the elderly didn't have to work too hard. They took care of them as well. And now he would say at end of harvest celebration, when everybody went to Chief Sipamanda's home, people came from different villages, from far and wide, young girls carrying clay pots. With umqomboti, you got that right. With umqomboti that was put in a huge pot where the elders would taste it. That was the fruit of their labor. The mothers walked light-footed. The fathers were happy, and sometimes the children looked at the elders. They could hardly recognize them. They were no longer the parents who told them, sit down, be quiet, hurry up, don't talk so loud. What's wrong with you? Speak louder, I can't hear you. And they watched them sing and dance and celebrate good life, good harvest. And the people who brought the big baskets with food that was for people whose gardens didn't do so well. But they were far and few. People had good harvests indeed. Chief Sipamandla stood up and addressed the people and explained to them that he was so proud of everything they'd given into taking care of the communities and their families by using the land, the earth that we were given. That is our birthright. That is our gift from the Almighty Mother Nature and our ancestors, because we're living in the land of our ancestors. And not one person would own the land. It was owned by the people. And Chief Sipamandla also encouraged people, then telling them, you cannot be satisfied that you've done enough. You can always do more. You can always do better. Always encouraging them. Some people were puzzled. You can always do better. We've done so well. We should be really, really applauded. But he said to them, always be prepared for any eventuality. Be always prepared for any eventuality. They heard him, but they didn't really hear him well until 1 year. 1 year, the rain didn't come. 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 months, the rain didn't come. 7, 8 months, the rain didn't come. It was dry. When people looked up at the sky, it was a blue sky. The sun was so hot, like it had come down a little bit lower. They were sweating. They were exhausted. You know that heat that is debilitating. They were waiting and hoping for the rain to finally come, but the rain didn't come. 10 months later, there still was no rain. They were worried, and the grass dried, and the rivers were drying. And yes, some of the little lakes were not doing so well, and the animals were thirsty. People had to walk far to fetch water to drink. They remembered the words of Chief Sipamandla, saying, be always prepared for any eventuality. Maybe he was talking about times like these. And when they had harvested well, they had dug granaries in the ground where they put the grain. And sometimes they ground the millet and they made soft meal. And then from that, they put some herbs as well, and sometimes some honey. And then they made beautiful hard cakes. And those hard cakes, they could remain and be stored for a long, long time. And people never touched them until it was absolutely necessary. And this kind of time, when the drought was ravaging the land, they knew this was the time he had been talking about. They were using those hard cakes. They took the grain and they could use it now. They did everything. They thought it was not really necessary to worry about. It was now time for them to benefit from their hard labor. And they had also some dried meat, and they took that meat and they could eat it as well. So they didn't do so well. But people from far away who had not had a chief like Chief Sipamandla, who had warned them to always be prepared, they were starving. People started traveling to other villages, and they ended up in this village of Empopomeni. And people were welcomed. Kuthiwa isisu somhambi asingakanani singakentso yenyoni. Isisu somhambi. The stomach of a traveler is not that big. It is as tiny as the kidney of a bird. Imagine, have you ever seen a kidney of a bird? Well, it is an idiom we use, that whatever it is that we have, however little, we must share with our neighbors. We must share with the traveler who's in need. And so that is what they did. Something else they did at the village of Empopomeni, they took the skins of the animals when they had feasts and what they would make sure they tan the leather until it is as soft as velvet. They used it as blankets on cold nights. They used it as mats on the ground. They used it to make amabeshu. Ooh, the traditional dance attire. They also made it to be their skirts for the women. They did different things with leather. The same leather they also stretched and put it on the drums. And they had big sermons. That cowhide drum spoke to their hearts and beat so hard, and their hearts felt it, and the joy arose. But in these hard times, there was not much to celebrate. They waited for the rains to come. They waited for the rains to come, and it was hard. And one winter, it was so cold. They were so grateful for these warm blankets they had until one afternoon, they looked up at the sky. They saw the clouds were gathering. They saw the clouds gathering. They got darker and darker until they saw it was going to be so heavy rain. And people had been taught that when it doesn't rain for a long time, you don't sit and do nothing. From time to time, take the hose, go till the land, prepare, turn the land so that when the rain comes, it doesn't run away all the way to the rivers and the ocean. You want some of the rain to enter the soil, to penetrate and go deep in the soil. And that's what they've been doing. No matter how tired they were, that's what they've been doing. And the next thing you know, the rain started. Small drops, and then louder, and then louder, and louder until it was so loud and it was pouring down. And then they heard lightning and thunder. Baha! 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 And it poured and poured for hours and hours. Children ran outside. They were so happy for the rain. They hadn't had rain in a long time. Sometimes even the older people went running outside to feel the rain on their skins, on their heads. They didn't care. They got wet. What a wonderful time. Woo! What a blessing. When all of that had passed and the sun came back, it rose and people knew it was time to take the seeds they'd saved to plant them in the fields. They planted the seeds. They made sure they took extra care. Chief Pamandla had told them, be always prepared for any eventuality. They knew hard times always came. And soon you saw a few plants coming out. The sun, you know how the sun knows how to communicate with tiny, tiny seeds under the ground, because even the tiniest seed can give birth to the huge, powerful Baobab. But also, it is the seeds that make the food that grow and feed humanity, the food that feeds animals and all kinds of other creatures. And every single seed that had been planted, one by one, they came stretching their limbs and reaching out above the ground. And the first shoots and the leaves greeted the sun, and the sun kissed them one by one, kissed them when they came out. Pumpkins, ubhontshisi, hayibo, amathanga, umbila, amabele, you name it, it was coming up. Sweet potatoes, amadumbe, everything. It was wonderful. And people sang happy songs. Children played games. They were so excited. This was their life they were used to. And the animals, they made happy sounds. And when the cows gave birth to calves, or the goats or the sheep, oh, they made lovely sounds, happy ones. And the cows were jumping and kicking the air and so happy. And there was enough milk for them to drink from the udders of their mothers. What a wonderful time indeed. And people could eat amasi, the curdled milk. And the land, when we treat the land with respect, with the love that it deserves, it loves us back. I promise you, it loves us back. And so they had a big end of harvest celebration. They went to Chief Siphamandla's home. People came from far and wide, dressed in their best. Oh, the beadwork, the headgears, all the clothes, the girls, you should have seen them. Poetry in motion as they walked to the chief's place, others singing, Gaya Mabel, Gaya Mabele Gazulu, Gaya Mabel, Gaya Mabele Gazulu, Israel Gate, Israel Gate Gazulu, Israel Gate, Israel Gate Gazulu, Gaya Mabele, Gaya Mabele Gazulu. People came from far and wide. The elders came with their walking sticks. and they settled down. And they started drinking. Awumbabhekile sukohlala ndawonye ogqithisa emfondini wayengemi ndawonye awumbabhekile sukohlala ndawonye gqithisa emfondini wayengemi ndawonye ohamba bhekile sukohlala ndawonye. Yes, that was the kind of drink our ancestors, our great-great-grandparents drank. Our grandparents, our parents drank before they came the drinks that knock you so hard, you don't remember your name. You don't remember your deeds. You don't remember what, what is important to you or your loved ones. All of these things. This was the drink that was beautiful and nourishing, and they enjoyed it. Chief Sipamandla stood up and told them, you are like the baobab that is so strong and so resilient. And you should know that the baobab gives you the best thirst quencher in the world. If the big companies could take that baobab fruit, that powder, and make the drink and sell it en masse in huge quantities, they would do so, and it would be the most expensive thing. But uKamatha umveli nqangi usomandla uNkulunkulu usobulungisa umdali wezinto zonke usimakade didn't want that to happen. Ungayi, the Almighty didn't want that to happen. Saw it far into the future that the baobab fruit had to be rare. The baobab fruit had to be something that you see as precious. The baobab fruit, all the beautiful things that are embedded in there must signify the very essence of who we are as the people of this land, the African continent, the land of beginnings. And if we tap into that is deep inside us, the wealth, that integrity, that mutual respect, we are unstoppable. The land regenerates. The plants, they grow and regenerate drought after drought. And no matter how many difficult times we face, like we are facing, it's 2020. We cry tears. We feel weak. We feel tired. We ask why. We have lost people we love. People have lost their harvest. People have lost their animals in the farms. And some of them have invested everything in those farms. But now they think, why did I do it? You did it because it is important. Nature will honor us again. This too shall pass. Nothing stays the same. These COVID times will pass. The droughts will pass. Heavy rains, the storms will pass too. We need to keep the positivity that is embedded inside each and every one of us. There is a light that shines inside every one of us. And when our fire goes out, we need to go and reignite the fire with others who are still having a little bit of positivity and regenerate again, reignite the essence of who we are as the people of the African continent. Some people have lost their conscience, the things they do. Some people have lost respect and caring for one another, the killings that are taking place. Nature, a lion doesn't kill unless it wants food. All the predators we know, they never kill any other animal unless it is for food. We should do the same. We should care for what nature has given us. This is the only planet we've got. There's no second or third one. There's no second or third one. I rest my story right there. We shall grow together. No matter how much we veer off the main road, we shall come back to the road we need to travel. And I know, we are stronger than we think.
Wow, mama. Ncuthu mazangwa. Luncuthu mazangwa ibali lakho. Thank you so much, Mother. I see that we do not have any questions at the
Yes.
moment, but I do have a question for you.
Yes.
I was watching at you while you are busy with your story, and I couldn't stop but to wonder, how do you begin to create all of this? Do you dream? Do you write and then dream? How do you come about consolidating your work?
I think when I look at a certain theme and I want to share a story about a certain theme, I want to tap into what we grew up with, the stories that we heard as children. You know, certain stories, you hear them for a long time and they sit at the back of your mind. When you need to put across a certain message, that story steps forward and says, I'm at your service. And then you put everything, it's almost like creating the skeleton of what you're going to put the message into. So when you've created that skeleton, when you're structuring like a wooden house, you put the roof before you put the tiles or the what's corrugated iron on the roof, and even before you put anything on the outside. But you know that this is the structure I think of. And then even before you think of putting the furniture, because for me it matters that when we are telling these stories, like Chief Sipamandla, there are certain people that are the go-to people when you're looking for people that can give us strength. Sometimes they give us strength with amazing words that they give us. Sometimes they give us strength by advising us, watch out, don't go that way. This place is dangerous. So all of these things that we get to receive from people, sometimes you don't think they're that wise, but they say something to you, you think that's exactly what I needed to hear. And so that's extremely important. I also look at how similar stories are from different parts of the world. You know, stories are very, very universal. You hear a story from South America, you hear a story from Finland, you hear a story from Tanzania. And when you're listening to those stories, you think, I know a story almost like that one. So it always proves that we are more alike than we are different.
Oh wow, Ma. Speaking of different countries and collating from different countries, I couldn't stop thinking, which is your favorite place that you've told your stories at, as you are a great traveler?
Yeah. One of the most amazing trips we've had, I talk about it quite often, is traveling the whole country in Malawi. We traveled Malawi as a group of storytellers. I was still at Zanendaba. I think I formed Zanendaba in what, 1992, and it must have been 1993 when we traveled to Malawi as storytellers. Tulani Masemula is not alive anymore. He was one of the first members of Zanendaba. We traveled together. And as we toured the country, we met storytellers all over the place. And people looked at us and we looked different. And they asked, who are those people? Where do they come from? Oh, what are they doing here? And we say, well, we are storytellers. And they would rush, call so-and-so. Hey, go and fetch so-and-so's uncle. Call, and people started gathering around us. And people make these beautiful mats with palm fronds and they color them and they would put them on the floor. Sometimes they would bring candles if it's in the evening and different types of lights, and we'd sit on the floor and share stories. And our translators were working overtime because we didn't speak Chichewa. And also, many people kept saying to me, you remind us of Chitenje Tambala. You remind us of Chitenje Tambala. I said, who is Chitenje Tambala? Turns out he was the national storyteller of Malawi. And oh my goodness, I was dreaming, I was longing to meet this man who was the national storyteller of Malawi. And we traveled the third week, we still hadn't met Chitenje Tambala. Went to the University of Zomba. They said, Chitenje Tambala. I said, where is this man? I want to meet him. 4 days before we left to come back to South Africa, I was becoming sad. I was very disappointed. I was dreading that moment when we had to pack our bags and get back into that aeroplane and fly back home. And then we were at a market near the hotel where we stayed, Club Makokola. And I saw this man was selling beautiful art. And I said to him, please, sir, have you ever heard of a man called Chitenje Tambala? Yes, of course. Yes, yes. You know Chitenje Tambala? He says, yes, he doesn't live far from here. Goodness me, I was so excited. I was jumping. I said, where is he? Can you take us to him? He got someone to man his stand, and he walked with us to the shore on Lake Malawi, and we met the old man, Chitenje Tambala. He was blind by now. He was so old, but he was smiling. He was listening to what we were saying, and he took his instrument in Bangwe, and then he went outside, and we went to sit on the sand, on the shore of Lake Malawi. And he told us a beautiful story. We told him a story. He sang for us. We sang for him. It was unbelievable. I came home. My heart was richer for having met the national storyteller of Malawi, Chitenje Tambala. That's one of my favorite trips that I'll always be grateful for as long as I shall live.
Oh gosh, Mama. Next time, please take me with. I also want to meet the great.
Wow, Malawi is beautiful. God must have been in a good mood designing Malawi. The whole country, I promise you.
Wow, wow. Now tell me, Ma, you inspire us a lot. Your stories move us. Have you ever met viewers or people listening to your stories? Have they come up and gave you inspiration as well, or motivated you in some way, and maybe presented a nice gift that made you come up with a brand new story?
I have been inspired again and again in different places, different places. I think when we traveled, there were 4 of us. We took a women's show to Greenland. Can you believe it? That's far away to the North Pole. We traveled, and I've never been that cold in my life. Being so hot in Malawi, that's another story in Greenland. And the people in Greenland wanted a show that is going to include a lot of a cappella music. So we took people with voices, and we arrived there on the first night. We were singing the closing song, and everybody rose up in the auditorium and they started humming with us. The way they love a cappella music, they have got different harmonies. I was so inspired by the Greenlandic people. They love sounds, and they also love the different languages. And when I stayed behind in Greenland, the other storytellers and performers flew back to South Africa. I stayed for another 2 weeks, and I was asked to create a brand new show with Greenlandic performers. And we had a translator, of course, all the time. And we had a man who came from Copenhagen. No, he's from Norway. He was a Norwegian. He was from Norway, and he was a soundscape artist. I didn't know there was such a job as somebody who's called a soundscape artist. And he had all these hard drives, and whatever sound I asked for to be added into the show that I was doing, he could find it. Sometimes he said, go and have a drink, have a tea or coffee or something, give me 15, 20 minutes and come back. And true indeed, when I came back, he had found the sound I had asked for. One of the things I remember, there's a whistle that we use here in South Africa. I don't even know where it comes from. I can't say it's South African. It must come from some country. It's got kind of a metal ball inside. It's long and cylindrical, and it's got another knob at the bottom. And then when you blow, it goes woo-doo-doo. You suck it and blow woo-doo-doo, woo-doo-doo. We call it woo-doo-doo. And that whistle, I forgot to bring it with me when I went to Greenland, and I tried to make these sounds for him. He said, okay, go, I'll find it. When I came back, he had found the sound. We were able to incorporate that sound into the show I created with the Greenlandic performers. And then I remember teaching them a Zulu song. In fact, it's Zulu Xhosa song because both in Zulu and Xhosa people sing this song. And I taught them, they've got these angelic voices, the performers I was working with. I was not even there when they were auditioned, but they were told, we are going to be using sounds, we're going to be using voices. And what they came, they were out of this world. So I was really, really honored. And I'm grateful for having worked with the likes of Babu Simon, who was my mentor, who taught me so much. And doing so much workshop theater, I'm able then to go to other countries and create new plays, brand new scripts with the people that are in front of me. And at the end, we've got a new production. And that production we put together was the presentation that the Greenlandic sports team was going to take to the Arctic Games in Vancouver. You know, the Greenlandic performers were going to be representing the arts, the Olympics, a team from Greenland, something that was put together by a Zulu-speaking, Xhosa-speaking South African director and a Norwegian soundscape artist, and a woman from Copenhagen who designed the set and the costumes. And I brought 2,000 rands worth of beadwork, and we incorporated Zulu beadwork onto the costumes that the Greenlandic performers were wearing. When the press arrived to see what we had done, they went berserk. They couldn't stop taking pictures. And I felt so proud that my ancestors were able to travel with me that far, far away, coming from the very southern tip of the African continent.
Oh, wow, Ma. That is very inspirational. I think I think I'll use this opportunity to say, when we are at a better time, Southeast Africa will travel to Durban and we'll ask you to create content about us.
Yes, yes. That'd be awesome. That'd be awesome.
Yeah.
And also, when I do outreach programs with schools, I'm always wondering what students really, really love science, and the hands go up, and I love mathematics, I love science, and all of that. And I'm so curious what would happen when you do manage to travel to Durban, eThekwini, eGagasini. We at Gcinamasiko will be so happy to welcome you. And we would like to bring young people as well who do this, who speak your language, who speak the science language, to come and celebrate together to create something brand new. And also to understand that working with the soil, agriculture is something that is hip, something that is most needed. No matter how clever you might think you are, no matter how sophisticated you are, no matter how fancy and globetrotter you are, you need food at the end of the day. You need to eat. Where does the food come from? Comes from the soil. Get on with the program. Show some love to the soil. Don't go around and say, we want our land, want our land. What are you doing with the land? Show the land some love.
Definitely, Mama, definitely.
Thank you so much.
Ngosima, seeing that we don't have any questions from our viewers.
Then we leave it at that.
Yes. Do you have any last words, Mom, before we end?
I would say I'm praying for a time when we South Africans can go back to the time when we were able to be self-sufficient in the way we are using the land, growing our own food, and also self-sustaining, and be able to find new ways of. We have to always adapt. We are very flexible human beings. We are very, very wonderful, creative creatures. The Almighty didn't make us to sit in one place and do the same thing. We grow and we're always strong. We're able to do wonderful things with the mind the Almighty has given us. And when we travel to other places, bring that knowledge. And also irrigation, and also to use irrigation to benefit us, so that we understand the value of water, not only water for us to drink and bathe and then maybe do all the chores in the home, but also water that brings life to the creatures, the animals that we depend so much on. Water that also brings us inspiration to find ways of looking at water. It's a very scarce resource, but we can do something about it. I saw in Cape Town when they had that big drought, they were looking at converting the changing and salination plants. When the sea water was not usable, they had to find ways to use sea water. So there's got to be different ways. I think in South Africa, we have got to look at what we are capable of doing. There was a time when we said, "Vuka uzenzele," wake up and do things yourself. I'm all for us saying government do this and government do that. I want the government to make sure that there's enough honey for Tsinamhlope, enough honey and mango and peaches and all of these things. But the government can't do that for me. Certain things you just have to work very hard and do them for ourselves and for each other. I'm for the spirit of Vuka uzenzele. We can do that as South Africans. We are stronger than we think. I really believe that. And show our children, children watch more than they listen. Show our children what we were taught, what has made us as strong as we are today. We wouldn't be these people that are speaking in the manner in which I'm speaking if our mothers and grandmothers and grandfathers and great-grandparents hadn't taught us to be self-reliant and hardworking. We wouldn't be where we are today.
Amen. Enkosi mama.
Enkosi nami ndiyabulela kakhulu. We're going to talk again soon.
Yes, mama.
Yes, condolences about your colleague that has passed on. Yeah, deepest condolences. Yeah.
Thank you.
COVID uzodlula.
We are hopeful.
Yeah, COVID uzodlula, ne? Yeah. Corona is not here forever.
Yeah, that's true. That's true.
Yeah.
To everyone, thank you very much for spending time with us. SciFest Africa and Gcinamasiko Heritage Arts and Trust really appreciate it. Wow, mama. Food feeding the whole community. Everyone laughing and dancing. I did not just imagine me being there when you told us the story. I was actually there. Enkosi. We will definitely walk tall and be strong like Baobab trees.
Yeah.
Thank you so much for your motivation and love you show through storytelling. We sure learn a lot every time you do join us.
Yes.
Please,
the tiniest seeds.
Please do follow Dr. Gcina on www.gcinamasikoarts.heritage.org to see all of her wonderful work and future gigs. The National Science Festival is also still ongoing. You can visit our website, www.scifest.org.za, to watch any webinar you might have missed, as well as to see our upcoming events. You can also follow us on our social media platform. A screen will show with all details shortly. Again, thank you so much for joining us. Have a good night's sleep when you have one. Goodbye.